I met Megan 2.5 years ago at a friend's housewarming party. She was standing by the kitchen island, laughing at something someone said. Her energy filled the room like sunlight through a window. I remember thinking, she looked too perfect to be real. We started talking about hiking and mountain trails. She told me she loved Colorado because it felt alive. I told her I loved the quiet after a long day of work. We clicked right away. It wasn't forced, it wasn't awkward, it just felt easy. She worked in marketing at a small tech company. I managed construction projects for commercial builds. Different worlds, but somehow, we balanced each other out. She loved how grounded I was. I loved how ambitious she seemed. Our first few dates were simple. Coffee shops, long drives, hikes near Boulder. She'd take photos of everything, always posting about how grown-up love felt. I didn't mind at first. It felt nice being appreciated. She'd tell her friends I was the kind of man who had his life together. I took pride in that. We started spending every weekend together. She'd bring over wine, I'd cook dinner, and we'd talk for hours. I thought I finally found peace. My friends even said she was the one. But slowly, little cracks started to show. She'd talk about her ex, Ryan, more than any normal person should. At first, it sounded harmless. She'd say they were good friends now, and had moved on maturely. I didn't want to seem insecure, so I stayed quiet. But his name kept coming up in every conversation. Ryan said this. Ryan did that. Ryan always supported her creative side. It was like he never left the relationship. When I asked if she thought it was strange to stay so close to an ex, she laughed. She said, "Ethan, you're too traditional. Relationships evolve." I told her boundaries matter. She called me old-fashioned. After that, she started posting about insecure men on her Instagram stories. I knew those were about me. Her friends would comment things like, "So true, queen." I brushed it off and told myself not to overthink. But the way she talked about Ryan made me uneasy. They still texted, still met for coffee. She even showed me his posts sometimes, bragging about how driven he was. I started feeling small in my own relationship. It wasn't jealousy. It was disrespect. Still, I convinced myself to ignore it. Megan said love meant trust, and I wanted to trust her. She made me believe that questioning her meant I wasn't secure. So I buried every doubt and smiled through it. We were planning trips together by then. She hinted at marriage, talked about future kids, and even what kind of house she wanted. I thought it was a sign she was serious. But every time she mentioned Ryan's name, something inside me twisted. I didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning of the end. The moment love started turning into performance. And I became part of a story I never agreed to play in. It was around Christmas when everything started changing. I had saved for months to buy her an engagement ring. Simple, elegant, one she'd love without showing off too much. When I proposed, she cried and said yes instantly. Then she pulled out her phone and went live on Instagram. She filmed herself shaking, screaming, "He proposed, I'm engaged." I was still kneeling, while thousands of strangers watched us. That should have been my first clue something was off. But I told myself she was just excited. She said social media made her feel connected, validated. I didn't realize how much her image meant to her until later. The next few weeks were all about wedding planning. Megan wanted everything perfect, down to the smallest flower. She created vision boards, group chats, spreadsheets. At first, I admired her energy. Then one night over dinner, she said something that froze me. "I want Ryan to be my man of honor." I thought I misheard her. She smiled like it was no big deal. "He's my closest friend. It's progressive. Lots of couples do it now." I laughed nervously, waiting for her to say she was joking. She was. "Megan, that's your ex," I said quietly. "Exactly. It shows how evolved we are." I felt my stomach twist. Every instinct screamed that it was wrong. But she kept smiling, scrolling through photos of modern weddings. I told her it made me uncomfortable. She sighed like I was a child learning a lesson. Ethan, secure men don't feel threatened by friendship. I tried to explain that boundaries mattered. She said I was projecting insecurity. That night, she posted on her story about outdated relationship norms. The caption read, "Some men still have so much growing to do." Her followers flooded the comments with praise. Yes, girl. Preach. She's so enlightened. Meanwhile, I was sitting in our kitchen feeling humiliated. I didn't want to be the villain in her online performance. But I also didn't want to lose her. I told myself maybe I was overreacting. Maybe she really was just trying to be modern. A week later, she confirmed it publicly. She posted a photo with Ryan at a cafe, both laughing. The caption said, "Man of honor secured, evolution in action." The comments were split. Half cheered. Half said it was weird. My sister texted, "Are you seriously okay with this?" I lied and said yes. Inside, I felt something break. Every day after that, she and Ryan met to plan the ceremony. Every night, she'd come home glowing, full of new ideas he had. When I suggested something, she'd say, "Ryan already picked that." It became their wedding, not ours. I felt invisible, but couldn't find the courage to stop it. I told myself love required patience, understanding. But deep down, I knew she wasn't planning a wedding with me. She was performing one for everyone else to see. And the person standing beside her wasn't her fiancé. It was her ex. The weeks leading up to the wedding felt like walking on glass. Megan and Ryan met every Tuesday for coffee and wedding planning. She'd come home late, laughing at texts she wouldn't show me. When I asked what they discussed, she'd say, "You wouldn't understand the vibe." Sometimes she'd call him my creative partner. It sounded more like an inside joke I wasn't part of. She started locking her phone and leaving the room to answer calls. Her social media filled with captions about trust and maturity. One post said, "Love grows when you stop controlling it." People praised her, calling us the future of relationships. Meanwhile, I felt like a prop in her performance. We had a combined bachelor and bachelorette party. Her idea, of course. She said it would break toxic gender traditions. But the night turned into something else entirely. Megan and Ryan danced together, feeding each other food like newlyweds. Guests whispered, and cameras were everywhere. My best friend leaned over and said, "Man, this is insane." I tried to smile, but it felt like my chest was caving in. When I confronted her afterward, she said I was embarrassing her. "Ethan, insecure people always try to ruin joy," she snapped. She posted again the next day about teaching your partner emotional growth. Every word aimed straight at me. I began noticing her schedule shift. Late client meetings, vendor check-ins, endless excuses. Sometimes she wouldn't come home until midnight. When I asked questions, she'd accuse me of not trusting her. I stopped sleeping. I started checking the clock whenever she was out. One night, she came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. Her hair was messy, her lipstick gone. I asked where she'd been. She smiled faintly. Dinner ran late. Ryan had new ideas for the ceremony. I nodded, but inside something snapped. The next morning, while she was at work, I checked our phone bill. Hundreds of texts. Calls that lasted for hours. Some nights, she talked to him past midnight. I scrolled through charges on our shared credit card. Hotels. Expensive dinners. Dates that matched her late meetings. My hands shook as I screenshotted everything. I felt sick, like the air had been punched out of me. I thought about confronting her, but then I remembered Ryan had a girlfriend. Her name was Chloe. We met a few times, kind, quiet, the complete opposite of Megan. If Megan was cheating, Chloe probably knew something too. I searched her Instagram and found her profile. Then I sent a message. "Hi, this is Ethan. I think we need to talk about Megan and Ryan." She replied within an hour. "Thank God you reached out. I've been going crazy too." That's when the truth started unraveling. Every lie. Every secret. Every night, Megan said she was planning a wedding. She was really planning a betrayal. Chloe and I met the next evening at a quiet coffee shop downtown. She looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. When she saw me, she said, "I thought I was losing my mind." I told her I knew exactly how that felt. We compared what we'd seen over the past months. Same hotel dates. Same late-night dinners. Same excuses. She showed me credit card, receipts from Ryan's wallet. One matched a hotel charge I'd already seen on my account. That was all the proof we needed. But Chloe wasn't content with just knowing. She wanted them exposed. "They humiliated us in front of everyone," she said. "Let's make them face what they did." Her voice was calm, steady, but her eyes burned with quiet rage. So we started planning. We'd gather evidence, everything undeniable and solid. Chloe still had access to Ryan's shared cloud storage. She used it to back up his texts and photos. Within hours, she found hundreds of messages between him and Megan. Flirty, graphic, full of plans to meet secretly. I read one and felt my stomach turn. Megan wrote, "I can't wait for this wedding to be over so I can stop pretending." Ryan replied, "You deserve better than that boring guy." She answered, "He's just stability. You're what I really want." I had to stop reading halfway through. Every word made me hate myself for believing her. Then Chloe played me a voice note Megan sent to Ryan. Her voice was cheerful, confident, cruel. She said marrying me was just a safety net. That she liked my house, my stability, my money. But Ryan was the real passion. I stared at Chloe, speechless. The woman I loved was marrying me out of convenience. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice, repeating those words. By morning, Chloe called again with an idea. "What if we expose them at the wedding?" she said. I didn't answer at first. It felt too cruel, too public. But then I remembered every time Megan made me feel small. Every time she called me insecure, while she lied to my face. She wanted an audience for her perfect life. Fine. We'd give her one. A real one. We spent the next week organizing everything. Screenshots, recordings, printed photos. Chloe gathered files from Ryan's laptop. I hired a private investigator for undeniable proof. He caught them entering hotels together, hand in hand. We labeled each photo by date and time. Every lie matched perfectly with the evidence. Chloe rehearsed what she'd say at the ceremony. I planned where she'd stand and when to speak. We both knew it would be chaos. But it was the only way to end the lies. By the end of that week, everything was ready. She thought she'd humiliate me at the altar. But she had no idea the real show was about to begin. The wedding day arrived warm and bright, like nothing could go wrong. The venue was perfect, every flower placed exactly where Megan wanted. Guests laughed, photographers clicked, and everything looked picture perfect. She had no idea what was coming. I stood at the altar in my suit, calm but shaking inside. Megan walked down the aisle in her white dress, glowing for the cameras. She looked at me with that same confident smile. For a second, I almost forgot everything. Then I saw Ryan standing beside her, smirking. My chest tightened, but I stayed still. The pastor began speaking about love and honesty. Megan's vows were long, filled with poetic nonsense about growth and authenticity. She even looked at Ryan when she said, "True connection." I nearly laughed. When it was my turn, I said simple words, short and calm. But inside, I was waiting for the moment. Then came the line. "If anyone has any reason why these two should not be joined, speak now." I turned to the front row. Actually, I said, I think my guess does. The entire crowd gasped. Megan froze, color draining from her face. Ryan looked ready to faint. Chloe stood up, calm and composed. She walked down the aisle, phone in hand. Hi everyone, she said. I'm Ryan's girlfriend, or I was until now. The room went silent. Megan's mom whispered her name in shock. Chloe began reading the texts. Megan's voice echoed through the speakers, word for word. I can't wait for this fake wedding to be over. He's clueless. Guests started murmuring. Some stood up to record. Megan shouted, she's lying, those are fake. Chloe didn't flinch. She played the voice message. Megan's own voice filled the room, laughing, calling me a backup plan. Every eye turned toward her. Her perfect world cracked open in front of everyone. Ryan tried to slip out, but my best man blocked the aisle. Going somewhere, he said loudly. People gasped, some cheering, some just staring. Megan broke down crying, mascara running, begging for me to stop. I took out my phone and showed her a photo. Her and Ryan at a hotel, time-stamped, crystal clear. She stopped breathing for a moment. You hired someone to spy on me, she screamed. I said, no, I hired someone to find the truth. The crowd erupted again. Chloe stepped beside me, her head high. This is what they've been hiding, she said. The pastor just stood there, lost for words. Megan's father looked ready to collapse. Her mother started crying. Ryan muttered something, but no one listened. It was over. I handed my cousin's business card to the pastor. He was a lawyer, already smiling. I said, I think we'll need an annulment instead. The guests didn't know whether to laugh or clap. I turned back to Megan. You wanted to show everyone how evolved you were, I said quietly. Well, congratulations, you just did. Then I walked out, leaving her in tears and silence behind me. The videos spread online before the night even ended. By morning, clips from the ceremony had gone viral on every platform. People shared them with captions like, the most brutal wedding ever. Hashtags like Evolve Love and Men of Honor Fail started trending fast. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them favored Megan or Ryan. Her perfect social image turned into a public nightmare overnight. Comment sections filled with laughter, memes, and disbelief. Reaction videos popped up everywhere, replaying her voice messages. Someone even remixed her words with dramatic background music. It got millions of views in a single day. Megan's face became a meme template within hours. Her company saw the footage before she could explain. They called it a breach of professional integrity and fired her. Ryan's job didn't last long either. His employer found out and cited unethical behavior as the reason. By the end of the week, both of them were unemployed and humiliated. Their phones blew up with messages, none of them supportive. Megan tried to post a statement calling me controlling and abusive. But the internet had already seen everything. People flooded her comments with screenshots of her own texts. Every attempt to play the victim made things worse. She deleted her accounts one by one until she vanished completely. Ryan tried to claim he'd been manipulated by both of us. No one believed him. His own messages made him look arrogant and pathetic. Chloe sued him for the money he'd borrowed over the years. She won easily with all the evidence we collected. He filed for bankruptcy a few months later. I heard he moved back in with his parents out of state. As for Megan, she moved back to her hometown and disappeared offline. Friends told me she couldn't face anyone without breaking down. Her reputation was gone, her job gone, her pride shattered. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my peace. I canceled every remaining wedding payment and got most deposits back. The vendors sympathized after seeing the story go viral. They called it fraud by the bride and refunded almost everything. I sold the ring for less than I paid, but I didn't care. I just wanted it out of my life. The house felt too quiet after everything, but it was mine again. No more pretending, no more walking on eggshells. Sometimes, I'd sit in the living room and replay that day in my head. The silence after the truth drop still echoed. It wasn't victory I felt. It was relief. 8 months later, people still send me clips of the wedding. I don't watch them anymore. I've learned to let the noise fade away. Some call me a hero, some say I went too far. But I know one thing for sure. I didn't start the war, I just finished it. Megan wanted a performance for the world. She got one. And in the end, the curtain fell exactly where it should have. It's been 8 months since that day, and life feels calm again. No cameras, no drama, no fake smiles for the internet. I wake up early, drink my coffee, and feel peace instead of tension. The house that once felt haunted now feels like home again. Sometimes, I still wonder how someone I loved could lie so easily. But then I remember how quiet honesty feels. I don't check social media anymore. I don't chase validation or worry about what people think. I learned that love isn't about looking perfect together. It's about choosing respect when no one is watching. Megan taught me that pretending to be evolved isn't growth. It's just another mask. She lost everything trying to prove she was better than everyone else. And I lost the illusion that love alone could fix people. Now I'm okay with silence. Okay with starting over. Okay with being alone if it means peace. That wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it became the day I finally saw the truth. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing.